Hey Josh, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm super excited about this interview. If you're doing this right now, you definitely got to stop it, okay? And because Hey, welcome to JoshForce. I'm Josh Matthews, president of Endeavor Staffing and the SalesforceRecruiter.com. And today's a really important day because we're going to cover some of the most common mistakes that people make during video interviews that prevent them from advancing in the interview process and consequently getting an offer from a company that they really want to work for. So it's career limiting mistakes that we're going to be discussing. And these are culled from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews that I've conducted myself, plus feedback from my clients, feedback from colleagues, and feedback from candidates as well. Okay, here's a mistake. Can you guess what it is? It's a mess. And it's a shaky laptop. So that's two mistakes in one. You don't want those. Yeah, we're doing a little cleanup today. Okay, let's check out the absolute worst thing that you can do in a video interview. And it looks a little bit like this. Okay? Tons of sunlight in the back. Heavily shadowed. I can't tell you enough. This is a terrible, terrible way to interview because not only is it bad right now and you're looking at it on an HD recorded video, but what about when it gets compressed and sent through Zoom or sent through Google Meetup or what have you? It's going to be even grainier and darker. And guys, I'm just recording this off of my laptop. So this is very real simulation of a typical interview with the built-in microphone and everything. But this is not good, okay? And here's yet another mistake. Look how terrible this video is. Now, that's because I rubbed a little bit of peanut butter on my lens, which is probably something that you have on your lens. So make sure that you're cleaning that lens on your laptop or on your iPhone. Clean. Okay, so now I'm back in my office and, I've just got the laptop on my desk. Most people just keep it on their desk, but you can do a couple things. I do have a little tray here that's elevated. It lets me get more of my body into this shot, and I tied this knot today. I don't remember the last time I tied a tie. It's been a long time and I think I need some more practice. So anyway, this is what I did, right? I just lifted it up, and you can raise it up on a stack of books if you want to. And if you have a little remote keyboard, then you can still type and take notes, but you can show more of your body. We want to look a little bit closer to a newscaster profile. Right? Centered on the screen, just a little bit, maybe 10% of space above your head. And now they can see your shoulders and they can see your hands and you can be more expressive. So this is not bad. And I also have this laptop set up, a full arm's length away. So I'm not actually typing into it. And if I am going to move around, I'll have to reach all the way over. Okay, so I've just added a small little desk lamp here too. It gives me a little bit more definition. It's not completely washing out my face, and it's working from the same side as the window, so it looks a little bit more natural too. So not a bad idea if you don't have one to have a small little lamp, and I can show you mine. It's just this little guy. It's like a little light bulb basically, and I think that's about $40, full spectrum bulb. Not bad for those people like me who live in Portland and it gets dark around here and stays pretty dark for about 5 months. So that helps us get our vitamin D. Okay, back to video interviewing. What I want to talk about now are 6 behaviors that are absolutely important to pay attention to when you're having an interview. And guys, there's a couple of these that are just absolutely atrocious, and I'm going to save those for last. So a couple of the basic ones, so make sure that you pay attention. So a couple of the basic ones are clicking pens. Now, I don't think I have any pens that click. I'm not a pen clicker. I'm more of a felt tip guy, but people do it. They'll sit there and they'll click on their pen. Interviewing can make people nervous, duh, right? So what do people do? They do little self-soothing behaviors, and these are things that just kind of keep us calm, like fidgeting, wiggling our feet, clicking our pen, right? Chewing gum. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't do any of that stuff. Okay, so don't click your pen. If you are a pen clicker, I recommend you get the kind that doesn't have a click on it, and that will protect you. A little bit of planning. The other thing is eating food, chewing gum. Probably not recommended. In fact, it's definitely not recommended. That's just a general thing. You wouldn't be eating food in an interview. I've actually had a gal who was great for a job, and she didn't get the job because she went in there like trying to get stuff out of her teeth because she'd been eating while she was waiting to get into the meeting. I mean, kind of a bad reason, I think, to let someone go. Maybe there were other reasons, but in general, it's viewed as disrespectful, and you should really plan your lunches and your food around the video interviews.
Well, I was very impressed to see that you were number one cloud advisor in the public sector, and that having worked for over 8 different federal executive branch departments, you know how to leverage your best practices and create customized solutions that meet your clients' needs.
Okay, that's my good friend Jeremy Nichols, Florida's best hospitality recruiter, showing you exactly what you shouldn't do, which is read directly from your computer. And especially, guys, like it's fine if you have some notes and you're going to refer to them. That's fine. Reading it verbatim, that just shows that you didn't really prepare or practice. So don't do that. And also, definitely, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, don't read to the representative of the company information from their company website. It's been done. It's just the stupidest thing. Honest to God, it's happened, and it's happened more than once. So don't be that person. All right, next.
Let's get into a really, really big one here. It's not the biggest one, but it is a very big one, and it has to do with this part of your face, and it's your smile. People don't smile on interviews, and I see it all the time. And you know what? You've got all these different parties. Everybody's nervous. Everything, oftentimes there's so much at stake, right? Like my career, or whether I'm the one trying to get the job, or maybe I'm the manager and I need to hire this person now, or I'm not going to deliver my project and I'm going to lose the client. I'm going to look terrible in front of the CEO. Not good situation. So we want to make sure that we take those nerves, we kind of settle them down a little bit. Take a deep breath, get centered, guys, and just remember, like, this is just a meeting of people. And when you meet someone, you're going to want to try and build a connection. This is just old school stuff, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. Not a bad book, even though it's, almost 100 years old. But you've got to connect with the other person who's on this video camera. That's what has to happen. And one of the easiest ways to connect with someone is to smile and be friendly. And it doesn't matter how white your teeth are. It even doesn't matter if you're missing teeth or you're having dental work done. And I've heard this multiple times from people who are like, a little bit concerned about their smile, or they don't think that they have a nice smile. I got to tell you, absolutely any smile is way better than no smile. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a massive movie buff. I just love films. I'm a total cinephile, or whatever you call it. And I'll often find that I just don't connect with certain movies. And when I really think about it, I think, well, it's because the lead character wasn't likable, or no one in the movie was very likable. And often it's because they don't smile at all. Zero sense of humor. Sorry, that's one of my DNA things. Like it has to be in the movie. It has to be a part of the character for me to like that individual. So, just something to think about, but you've got to smile. So, hi, thanks so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. You've just got to say thank you. You've just got to say that you're grateful to be invited to the meeting. Ask them how their day is. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. I actually recently sat in on a video interview, and it took a long time for anybody to smile. It was very uncomfortable. I was just a fly on the wall on this. It could have been better. It could have been better, and it could have been better on both parts, right? Both the candidate and the client. And if they're watching this, that's okay. But you've got to smile, you've got to relax, and you've got to get people to a point of comfort. Now, if you're the actual person who's doing the interview, and you think that you're doing your company a great service by putting someone up on the ropes and maybe not really being friendly to kind of test them out and see how well they deal with pressure or stress or things like that, I got to tell you, you're just screwing yourself. You're just absolutely screwing yourself, because most people aren't going to be working with someone who's brand new every single time, whether they're like a solutions architect or a technical architect or a consultant or a salesperson or a senior developer or what have you. The reality is people are going to get to know each other, and you want to get to understand what the people are going to behave like and how they're going to be behaving when they're actually having those conversations and they already know each other. So spend a little time. Get to know each other first. Don't just put someone up on the ropes. Don't just come in and, hit them with all the hard tech stuff and kind of scowl a little bit. You don't want to do that. That's no fun, and it's going to shut them down. People don't think that well when they're under stress. In fact, from a behavioral standpoint, this is scientifically proven, most people tend to operate in the mode that they're not familiar with when under stress. And I'll give you an example. So I'm what we call in the Myers-Briggs terminology a judger, meaning I feel more comfortable after I've made decisions. But when I'm under stress, it's really difficult for me to make a decision. I go into full-on research mode and I question all of my choices. Same thing happens when people are having, a stressful interview. They're already stressed enough. They're already kind of hyped up enough, right? So you want to put them at ease so that you're not witnessing how they experience or them at their best. That's what you're trying to see, right? Don't you want to see them at their best? So you got to create an environment that's conducive to that, and you can do that by smiling and being friendly and being a nice person in general, and kind of walking them around and telling them what the story is and what you're going to cover in the interview and all of that regular preparation. Okay, so from a behavioral standpoint, smiling is really, really important. Now it's actually not the most important thing. The two things that I think are most critical, and really one of them is pretty easy to fix and one of them is difficult to fix. I'm going to go with the easy to fix one first, okay? And that is spinning and rocking in your chair. People don't know that they're doing this. It's again, it's one of those it's one of those behaviors that is a self-soothing behavior. Like rubbing their hands or rubbing their chin or whatever, which is fine. But my chair doesn't really rock. I had an interview the other day with a great candidate, and he did this the whole time, like he had to go pee-pee. Not cool. Right? Not cool for that person, especially if you're trying to determine what is this person going to be like when they're talking to your clients that are, spending $5 million on your software release project. So you don't want this person just like rocking back and forth the whole time. It's visually distracting, and it just doesn't, it just doesn't demonstrate confidence. So don't be rocking, or this thing, the little girl spinning, rocking in her chair thing. Don't do that. That is not good. Can you imagine? So guys, hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. So I'm just like going to swing back and forth and, kind of try and tell you a little bit about stuff. There's nothing more, nothing shows a lack of confidence than wiggling around in your chair like a little kid. So don't do that. Now, if you've got a big problem with wiggling and shaking, you probably, don't even know that you're doing it. And that's okay. You can find out. Just record yourself, right? Just really start having a sense of awareness about your body. And the other thing that you can do is you can swap out these little wiggly chairs and get 4 on the floor. Just get your regular old kitchen chair that doesn't spin or rock or swing and sit in that. That's a little pro tip shortcut. Okay, let's get into the number one thing, behavioral issue, that prevents people from getting offers or progressing into a new opportunity, in the interview thing. Stuff, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, and it's really straightforward. It's something I'm actually doing right now, which is rambling on. Great tune. So people lose jobs all the time because they talk too much. Can you imagine? You get invited to this interview and you assume that people want to know all about you. And so what are you going to do? You're going to share your knowledge, and you're going to tell them your life story, and you're going to share the whole background of every little aspect of the work that you've done. And yet you have no idea, but it completely it shoots you in the foot. Like, it's not good. And it's a funny thing, and I've known, because I've been doing recruiting for 20 years, and whether it's me or the teams that I've run, we've always found often that people come out of interviews and they go, oh, I think I really did great. And they think that they did a really great job because they got to talk so much and tell everybody about how awesome they are and all the projects that they did. Oftentimes, people who feel like they've done a really great job in an interview actually didn't do well at all. And that is often because they talked too much. They didn't shut up. So when you're interviewing, when you're asking, when you're answering a specific question, if you're going to forget what that question is and start acting like a politician in a debate, just going off on whatever topic you want to, or a representative on the House floor giving their 9 minutes or whatever to speak, and it's got nothing to do with what's going on. You just get a monologue. Nobody wants to listen to it. That's why people don't tune into that stuff. It's, boring. It's exhausting. All right. So why are you interested in this position? Answer that question. Tell me about your technical skills. Answer that question. And if you're going to forget, take your little non-clicky pen, jot down a little note, and, you can pause, give it some thought. You can buy time. You can say, that's a really good question. Let me think about that for a second. And give yourself time instead of just starting to ramble on. Now, the best thing that you can do is actually prepare. And how do you prepare for an interview? Well, I recommend Googling the top 5 or 10 most often asked questions, typing up all of those answers, getting those responses down to about 30 seconds verbally, and starting there. I mean, we'll have other videos on that stuff, but that's not a bad place to start. So be very careful of being a nervous talker, of not asking the specific question, of taking too long and not checking in. Like, does that make sense? Does that answer your question? I'm happy to elaborate, right? Any questions about that? I'm happy to dig in a little bit more and share more info with you. So you can say all of these kinds of things and get a, sort of assessment of how the interview's going and whether or not they actually care to hear more information. Often, I can't even get a word in edgewise with people. And so if you are an actual interviewer, here's what I recommend, because people will do nervous talking. It's not always indicative of how they behave in an actual interview, or in the real workplace. It might be, but oftentimes people are nervous talkers. So what do you want to do about that? Well, it's real simple. You just say, hey, listen, Josh, I've got a lot of information and a number of questions that we need to get through. We only have a finite amount of time, so I may jump in from time to time. I just want to kind of give you advance notice that if I pipe up, it just means because I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to cut you off, but we do have a lot of information that we need to get through. Fair enough? Right? So that's a little thing that you can do as a preamble, especially if you think that you've got someone who's a bit of a chatty Cathy or chatty Charlie or whatever you want to say. Okay, those are my top 6 behavioral things to watch out for, and a couple of the other major things that you want to be careful of when it comes to having a video interview around framing, right, and around lighting. Now, I have a full article available at thesalesforcerecruiter.com that goes into deep detail about technology. I show you my actual setup. I'm not using it in this video. I show you my actual setup, my microphones, video cameras. Also go through how to manage distractions, and we might have another video about that coming up. But go ahead and visit thesalesforcerecruiter.com. And have you had a really positive experience, or do you have a tip or a trick that you believe has helped you to really succeed in video interviewing? I'd love to hear about that. Make sure that you comment below. And if you haven't already, do all the normal stuff, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a comment, because that feeds the algorithm, and it helps get some of this really valuable information out to the people who need it the most, those who aren't working. Okay, thanks again for joining Josh Force, and have an awesome day.